What will the first Hytale servers look like? What will they feel like? And how will the ecosystem evolve through the years as more plugins, networks, and changes begin to amass? In my quest to understand more about how the Hytale landscape will be after launch, I looked to one of, if not the most infamous servers in all of Minecraft, 2b2t. And then, well, I reached out to the king of historic worlds himself, Mr. FitMC. Welcome back to the oldest Anarchy server. Wait, that's not the line. Welcome back to Kweebec Corner. My name is Connor, and today on the Hytale Development Circle, we look at what it would take to design a multiplayer server. How, you ask? Well, it won't be simple. We're not coding or developing anything, we're not launching any big marketing plan or making assets in advance. We're just starting with the basics, concepting ideas and figuring out what the ecosystem may look like a few days or even weeks after Hytale's launch, using info mentioned by the team themselves and by looking back at what kicked off the monumental SMP hype for Minecraft back in the day with servers such as 2b2t. This video is sponsored by ServerPro. ServerPro now offer virtual private servers that have the strength, storage, and speed to host some of your favorite games. Minecraft, Terraria, Counter-Strike, Rust, Factorio, all with one-click installers. There's even comm software like TeamSpeak. Each VPS runs on the latest version of Ubuntu and comes with a root secure shell. You can get the High 2v Core or Ultra 4v Core package by heading to the link in the description below and clicking the VPS tab. Back to the video. The first part of any design is research, after all, and that's why I've invited FitMC. Now, if we or anyone wants to make a Hytale server, we're going to need to look at what they actually are. Hytale servers will run on Java and utilize JSON for behaviors, and as far as we know, once you create a single-player adventure world, you can choose to turn it into a server, either via toggleable option or by launching it on the server browser. While players will be able to join and share in the original, authentic Hytale experience together, server owners will also be able to manipulate configuration settings. These can range from the timing and amount of weather in the world to the hue of the grass, texture of the sun, and everything in between. Items can be remodeled, mobs can have their behaviors transformed and combined, and I'm sure there will be plenty of commands and game mode options on offer. There's something very special about discovering a world for the first time, a Wild West, a new frontier. It's exciting to think about just how many possibilities could unfold during the first few weeks of Hytale's launch. And it's pretty safe to say we will see many trying to stake their claim as the first server of their kind. The first PvP server, the first minigame server, the first Anarchy server. There's a lesson I think can be learned here. Players desire and appreciate freedom. We wouldn't want to try and stifle that for our own players to begin with, by adding countless rules and plugins, by overdoing everything and jumping into a whole bunch of crazy systems. It just wouldn't feel right, not from an anarchical perspective at least, and while new players are still trying to learn the base mechanics of the game, why bother? If we want to recapture the feel of those first ever Minecraft server days, there needs to be no limit to what players can do for at least a while. Just like how it was in 2b2t, which we're taking inspiration from today. For those of you not in the know, 2b2t is Fit?
The oldest Anarchy server in Minecraft.
And it's existed for over a decade, allowing players without rule to run rampant, rioting with hacks and causing chaos. There's villainy, vile humor, and all sorts of taboo to be found in the winding caverns of the living, breathing fossil of a server. But despite 2b2t's reputation, it also offers a glimpse into the past. Decade-old structures, lost culture, tradition. It shows an evolution of an entire game and the community that banded around it. Will such a server truly be able to exist in Hytale? Well, potentially. The base mode for Hytale is called Adventure Mode. We know that any player will be able to open their Adventure Mode up and turn it into a server which other people can access via IP address. From there, things get pretty wild. Server operators can configure the server in more or less any way they please, adding builds, warping the environment, even messing with climate conditions and mob behaviors. All of these changes are made server-wide, and all Hytale clients have the ability to download and replicate these alterations via a simple handshake during connection. No advanced installs, no drag and drop folders or extracting zips. That means players can log onto a server and just like that have all the server's custom assets, animations and sounds automatically downloaded. This is obviously quite a significant difference compared to Minecraft, which slowly developed accessibility tools over years rather than launching with them. Minecraft servers were all initially vanilla. It wasn't until plugins, Bucket, Spigot, and Creative Mode all came together that servers truly started seeing full customization, and began to differ drastically from original SMPs and vanilla worlds of the early 2010s. Even Anarchy servers like 2b2t eventually got plugins, if not for quality of life improvement, then for a way to just manage the sheer amount of chaos that goes on within their map. Minecraft also has client-side modding, which Hytale isn't going to have. I'm sure you'll still be able to host your own server, whitelist it, and experiment that way, but yep, as far as security goes, Hytale is keeping the client off limits. These are key differences, and so what that means is in the long run, plugins are likely going to be a lot more common, and practically essential to the evolution of Hytale servers. The whole ecosystem in general is going to evolve much more quickly than Minecraft's did too, thanks to the easy access of tools. Of course, to start with, it will be more lawless. The 2b2ts of Hytale will exist for a time, but that era will be far, far shorter, and potentially even far more moderated too, thanks to features like the server blacklist that the team have mentioned. I mean, what even makes Anarchy anarchy? Is it the chaos? Lack of rules? The hacking? Want to take this one, Fit?
For an Anarchy server to work in Hytale, there's a few obstacles that would have to be overcome. Like, let's say you open an Anarchy server on day one of the game's release, and your players go into chat and spam really offensive, hateful messages. Will those players be banned? Will the server owner be penalized for not enforcing Hytale's terms of service? I mean, there's still a lot that we don't know.
Fit, you bring up a good point. There is a lot we still don't know, and as we're all aware, true anarchy can be pretty tough to control sometimes. Platforms like Roblox outright ban entire words or phrases, but Minecraft has had a history of allowing complete freedom of speech. If owners are punished for unfiltered chats in Hytale, if there is some sort of reporting system potentially even linked to other Riot games, the existence of anarchy servers could be at risk. True anarchy would not be achievable. With Hytale's team already hiring an anti-cheat developer, not allowing direct open access to the client, and mentioning a server blacklist of some kind for the browser, it doesn't look good if you're trying to start up the first Hytale 2b2t. However, while it doesn't seem like there's a place for the bashful, offensive, hacker-filled side of anarchy, there could still be a chance with things like online server listings. Perhaps blacklisted servers can still remain open to the public provided they advertise off-platform. Like Fit says though, all of this will need to be double-checked once we get some TOCs. There is always the likelihood that players themselves begin to cultivate a similar experience, a make-do with what we've got kind of scenario, if you will. A server op stripping down all boundaries and allowing players free reign, well, I'm sure that would still get pretty intense. It would at least feel close to what 2b2t originally was, and it's what we could see when Hytale launches. For now, let's take a look at some timelines. The Hytale Model Maker will come free with your copy of Hytale, providing all players instant access to the building blocks and tools used to make the game. The following is a timeline of expect to see servers based on how I think players will begin to learn those tools. Hytale will likely have a pre-existing server at launch which we can learn a lot from, and while we don't have its name, we know it will be filled to the brim with classic Hypixel minigames, showcasing to us what's possible in multiplayer. Whether or not there will be some free-range plugins or custom server presets to try out for ourselves remains to be seen, but it's likely that with the large amount of configuration options, there may also be settings to change your world with a click of a button to something like a flat world or an alien-themed environment. Of course, then there's also the standard adventure mode preset as well. Because they're already in the game and generated at a touch of a button, these are the servers that can be booted up right as the game launches. These are the day one preset servers appearing as players begin to share their worlds for the first time and start new ones entirely. Of course, the most popular of all the presets will likely be the standard adventure mode, with huge groups of people joining to tackle the challenges of Orbis together. Myriads of Let's Plays and SMP style series will surely reign, and these servers could last quite some time as deeper productions brew in the background. It's at this point, potentially weeks if not months after launch, that we begin to reap the rewards of our patience. Artists, modelers, and devs alike will be getting more knowledgeable of systems, and they'll finally be refining the art style. Certain commands and functions will become trendy, shortcuts and code alterations will be passed around, more organized teams of builders will likely begin decorating servers, you'll see more grandiose hub areas, and a lot more custom scripting in general, with changes to the UI and maybe even fundamental alterations to the way the game functions in regular adventure mode. Textures and models will surely follow, replacing other assets and creating new customized areas that are unique and original, wholly developed by entire teams of people. This is the ecosystem I'm excited about and why I think Hytale has so much potential. But of course, at this point you are beginning to lose the real image of OG adventure mode, that original area, set of zones, races, and an aesthetic that drew you in. there'll be no doubt a portion of players who will stick to the quote-unquote vanilla style, and that could be where, just like Minecraft, we finally start to see a few Anarchy or chaotic vanilla servers remain as the oldest pillars of that first wave. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. If we're going to create our own server when Hytale begins, it's most likely going to launch before this stage. The server will be open to the public with builds being pre-made, there will be minimal texture changes and a few lines of code put in place to manage users, but not much else. Using a little of that natural anarchy, a community can hopefully develop. Rank systems will likely appear, you have server ops and regular players, but there's all sorts of tiers you could fit between them. And as the weeks go on, as more people show support, as the team becomes more resourceful, you can roll out a steady line of updates. This segment of server evolution will likely span years if we're lucky, if Hytale manages to retain a founding community. Devs, teams, and servers will all grow together, bouncing ideas off one another, competing healthily, and working with YouTubers to promote fun activities. At some point down the line, these custom scripts, these plugins, will surely become more distributable, either by sale, a marketplace, or even some system installed into the very Hytale client itself. Where things like Bucket and Spigot became household names for Minecraft server ops, we will find things like HiKit or Queeb Plus improvements. But with plugins being distributed, setups becoming routine, isn't it likely that some sort of hack or Nodus clone would appear? Would a server be blacklisted for allowing that stuff? Could that stuff even be done? I mean, hacking is what makes an Anarchy server, isn't it, Fit? What would be the punishment?
Now, hacking is not as big of a deal for Anarchy servers as people think it is. You can still have Anarchy servers even if hacking is not possible. I'm aware Hytale is developing an anti-cheat system, so I'm guessing one of the punishments for cheating could be a full-on account ban. Now, is it up to the server owners to ban cheaters? Or will the anti-cheat take care of them? I mean, even if you're allowed to hack and there's zero censorship of speech, a lot also depends on the technical limitations of Hytale. Anarchy servers like 2b2t are so large that the world file size is measured in terabytes. Is Hytale capable of running a server that massive? Like I said, there's so much that we don't know still, so all we can really do is speculate until more info is available. But when Hytale eventually releases, I think a lot of Anarchy Minecraft players will make the jump to at least check things out. I mean, I know I'll be one of them, so yeah, we just have to wait and see what happens. But overall, based on what we know of the terms of service, I don't think Anarchy servers are looking real good for Hytale at the moment. But like I said, we just gotta wait and see.
Thanks, Fit. With a no doubt advanced anti-cheat and a promotion of a server blacklist, will Hytale's progressive guidelines allow something like 2b2t to flourish, a server as chaotic and crazy? It's hard to say, but Fit does an amazing job at discussing this in a video over on his channel that you should definitely check out after this. We can't forget that when 2b2t started, it was also a different time in history. It was a different time in the Minecraft community, in the gaming industry as a whole. Players acted and felt differently, online multiplayer platforms including 3D worlds being relatively new. A decade on, would that feeling ever be truly replicated? At this point, Hytale's economy should be looking healthy. One would hope that there's a lot of servers, a lot of competition, and as a result, a lot of innovation. With the Hytale team promising to keep updating the game after initial release, we can also expect their guiding hands along the way, and lucky for us, Hytale was more or less born from the EULA enforcement, so it's unlikely Hypixel Studios would try to pull anything similar like that on us. As more mods are developed on a wider scale, as players become familiar with the server browser and standard practices are adopted for advertising and updating your server, the Hytale economy will be in full spin, at its very peak, hopefully producing incredible content, moments, and experiences for all of us players to enjoy, exactly like how it went down in Minecraft. And maybe I'm romanticizing a little. Hytale won't feel or be exactly like Minecraft's era of server. We likely won't ever see something like 2b2t again. We mentioned it was a different time back then, and Hytale is a different game. It appeals to a similar but partially different demographic. It's a blocky voxel game with priorities in the RPG. One thing is for sure though, in a few years, maybe even a few decades after Hytale's launch, there's still going to be some older vanilla servers. Maybe a few, maybe only one, but hopefully they exist. And hopefully, in spite of any limitations, there'll be an interesting way to look back at the journey and at our history. One other thing that interests me is how content creators and streamers may adopt the game, nay the entire platform that is Hytale. If it is successful, which I'm sure we're all hoping it will be, we could see similar events to the first ever creator survival games, maybe even incursions like the Russia War on 2B2T. Although it remains to be seen what will happen with plugins and hacks, if there's some way to break the game, access the client or find a bug, you can be sure that communities will be around to exploit each to their chaotic desires. Fingers crossed that despite anti-cheat and blacklists keeping us all safe, there may be a way to reproduce a sense of natural anarchy in those very first adventure servers. And so that's what the first anarchy servers in Hytale could look like. Fit, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited for the whole thing. A brand new frontier, a newly evolving ecosystem, a wild west with users from all backgrounds and ages coming together to explore a game, a world that has truly no limits. There is, of course, a difference in design and development. It would be foolish to go off and plan an entire server without doing at least a little bit of research and comparison. Designing takes time, but at least we took the first steps together today. Big thanks to FitMC for hopping on the video. You can make sure to check out his content right here or find his link in the description. If you haven't seen one of his 2B2T videos, you've surely been living under a rock. Look, there he goes, off on his boat glitch journey. Bye, Fit! If you want to join a Discord server with thousands of Minecraft and Hytale enthusiasts such as yourself, then make sure to join the Kweebec Corner server via the link in the description. Continue smiling, thanks for liking, subscribing, and thank you as always for watching Kweebec Corner. Stay safe and keep free.